Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of SCLC Today TV. Breaking news. I'm Maynard Eaton, but yesterday I'm told our president, Dr. Charles Steele Jr., was talking with the president of the United States. Dr. Steele, what's going on?
No, I was not talking with him, Mr. Eaton. Our vice chair and our chairman and I will be talking later today. Dr. Bernard Lafayette, our chairman, and our vice chair and state representative from Louisiana, none other than Representative Randa Gaines, two great persons in their own right. And let me just say this, we work as a team. We work as a team. And it's a possibility in working with our chairman and vice chairman that the three of us will be talking to the current president, President Joe Biden, who I think at this particular juncture in the role is doing a fantastic job.
But there was some scuttlebutt on the internet last night about him calling you. I know I saw it. We talked about it briefly.
You know, when people get some information, it sometimes get misdirected or misinformed. No, I did not get a call from the president.
But you will be talking with them. Can you give us any idea what the subject will be about?
Well, that's a good point. In working with State Representative Randa Gaines, and who's our vice chair of SCLC, and Dr. Bernard Lafayette, our chairman of SCLC, we will get together, and the three of us will have a conversation because there's so many issues out there, Maynard. We got to make sure that we just not another organization or another personal interest group that's looking just for your agenda and grandstanding. You know, it's time out for grandstanding and get to the substance of what we really need. And that's reparation. You know, Black folks, African-American people of color, Negroes at the time, African-Americans today, we need reparation. We need some economics, job opportunities. So it's not going to be another Sunday school picnic or whatever, as the traditional way of saying it. It's going to be serious business and a conversation.
Also, speaking of economics, you were in the headlines in the Chicago Sun-Times this week about your protests you're against Nielsen. Fill us in on that. You're in a major city talking about major economic issues.
Well, thank you for that. I was in Chicago with all that snow last week. And we were there to protest the Nielsen Company, the TV rating company. And now they bought out Arbitron, which in the past we've been knowing Arbitron for rating a radio station. Now Nielsen is all over the world. And they are rating radio stations and TV stations. And what we know, and through our research and relationships with people there at Nielsen, is that they have racism in regards to one of the senior vice president, Ms. Shara Grace. And Shara, in her own right, has paid her dues in terms of working for Nielsen for 17 years. And now they want to discriminate against her in terms of her sustaining that company, because African-American Black folks is the most studied race or group of people of any ethnicity or background in this country and ultimately the world. Shara has done a great job in bringing about and facilitating the relationships within the Black community in terms of getting research and buying power, and also Black women power and economics. And you're going to treat this young lady like that? She had a relationship with SCLC. She spoke at our convention at least once or twice. And we were talking about taking it to the next level. We're going to not sit idly by and tolerate that type of systemic racism within that company. Even the CEO himself has designated himself to be the diversity manager. Have you ever heard of such? You get a truism of the perspectiveness of diversityness. We cannot tolerate this. That's what we're all about with Nielsen.
So in other words, they're misusing or profiting from the information, the buying power, the numbers of African Americans, and really messing over, if you will, for lack of a better term, Cheryl Grace in the meantime.
Absolutely, they are profiting. They understand our buying power, our habits, because as you know, we as a people are very reserved about talking to any governmental officials or people or the higher echelon of business. And we take that as a slap in the face to disrespect an African American woman who has paid her dues, not only in the Black community and winning our trust and taking it forward to their database. And then they're going to treat her like this because we trust Miss Grace, Cheryl Grace, not Nielsen. And that's what the problem is.
Will this be a tough negotiation, you think? As part of your strategy, I'm sure you're negotiating, but is this going to be a tough one, and will it be a serious victory when you win?
It will always be tough when you're talking about bringing about opportunities for our people. It's always tough, and to have the leveling of the playing field. The playing field has never been level since the transatlantic African slave trade. And yes, it's tough, but we feel very confident that we're not going anywhere, any place, until we get justice.
Speaking of justice, if you will, there are many who feel that we gave due justice to our chairman last week in our conversation about his career at SCLC and also celebrating Black History Month. Your thoughts on what you heard back with regard to our interview, our conversation with Chairman Bernard Lafayette? What did you hear from folks?
Mate, I've heard so many positive feedback in terms of Dr. Bernard Lafayette being on our program. And I just commend him with his lovely wife, Miss Kay Lafayette, and they just fantastic people. You can't talk about Dr. Bernard Lafayette without talking about Mrs. Lafayette, who's always there with him and traveling all over the world with him. And I had several ministers who said that they had gained so much from the practicality aspect of what Dr. Lafayette was talking about in the New Testament. You know, when the modern day civil rights movement with Dr. Lafayette, as well as other ministers, inclusive of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., used the New Testament by example and practicality in what Jesus did and just took it to the people for liberation.
I loved it when he said SCLC is kind of the West Point of civil rights, and he must be one of the generals in that West Point of civil rights, don't you think?
Absolutely, he is. Without Dr. Lafayette, there would be no Kenyan philosophy in terms of the international aspect of training. We're negotiating now with several countries and companies that want to bring this program to fruition. You're talking about down in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and you know, we have it in Berlin and Paris, France, even Moscow, Russia. We're going to implement, and New Delhi, India. We've been talking to representatives from that part of the world. Man, it's amazing what we as African Americans, and through the leadership of God Himself, the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, through our leaders like Dr. King and Dr. Lafayette, Dr. Joseph Lowry, Dr. Abernathy, and C.T. Vivian, Congressman John Lewis, all came out of SCLC. And people around the world want to have the implementation and the studying of this type of concept of the Kenyan philosophy. Hats off, applaud, all accolades should go to this great historical aspect of our leaders.
Well, Dr. Steele, let me say hats off to you, too. You are our president. You're leading this protest against Nielsen and other aspects of it. So I salute you. The end of Black History Month. Congratulations to you, and thank you for all you do.
And thank you, sir.
This has been SCLC TV. Our president, Dr. Charles Steele Jr. We'll see you next week. Take care.